Harrison, why Pearl Harbor? What got you so interested in this subject?
When I had a U.S. memorial project back in the third grade, I got really interested in the Pearl Harbor Memorial because I didn't know much about it at the time. And once I had researched it and eventually visited it, I got so interested in it and talking about it to children in my neighborhood, I just found out that not many people knew much about it. So I initiated Harrison's Heroes to raise $100,000 so that children my age can learn about the Pearl Harbor attack, which happened on December 7th, 1941.
Wow. Mom, you've got quite a little boy right there, or young man, I should say. I've got a 5-year-old son, and he always says, Dad, I'm not a baby anymore. I'm a growing baby now. What do you make of what your son is doing, Chesney?
Well, my husband and I are so incredible. Incredibly proud. My husband retired after 20 years of serving in the Air Force, and after retiring 2 years ago, he was feeling like, oh my goodness, so much of our lives have been a part of the military and that legacy, and to see Harrison kind of just really get inundated with just his passion around Pearl Harbor, we were just super pleased. And when he told us that he wanted to raise this amount, initially we were just like, so you mean $1,000, right? Not 100,000. And he's like, no, I mean $100,000. And then he teamed up with Pacific Historic Parks, the stewards of the Pearl Harbor Memorial, and Harrison's Heroes was born. We are incredibly proud of him.
Wow.
That is absolutely incredible. Craig, sorry, they're a tough act to follow. How do you feel about someone like Harrison, a young boy, doing this for the Pearl Harbor Memorial?
The old vaudeville cautionary tale, which is never go on stage with an animal or a child, because you get upstaged. But first off is that I'd like to get that young man's address so I could send him an autographed copy of my book. What he's doing is so impressive, and it is such a model for other children around the country. It's just so impressive. I wish I never did that when I was 10 years old, and I'm very, very impressed.
Craig, just a quick follow to that, and it's nice to have you on as well. Just when we talk about Pearl Harbor, when I think about somebody like Harrison, and there's a good chance that in the history books that he's reading in school, Pearl Harbor's not even covered as part of the workload. What do you make of that and what that means? Because you don't understand. I think about 9/11, and this is my grandfather, our grandparents, 9/11, the greatest generation, and how important that was, and how that was a clarion call that we're all Americans, and the difference we made in the Second World War, getting into the Second World War. Japan brought us in. How important is it to remember things like this?
It's vitally important. It's the essential of how to go ahead and govern. Good governance is that the old adage is true. Those who fail to study history are doomed to repeat it. That just shows down through history how many times that history has not been studied, history has not been remembered, and mistakes are made. Same mistakes are made over and over. Oftentimes because we're weak. We were weak in World War I. We were weak in World War II. We were weak in Vietnam. We were weak now in the face of terrorism. This is vitally important to remember these lessons.
Yeah, and Harrison, I know your goal to raise $100,000. Your mom thought you meant just $1,000, but can you tell us how much money have you raised already for this?
I've raised about $57,000.
Wow. That's incredible. Mom, how you feeling?
I am so proud of him. I mean, to see him, like our weekends, holidays are spent, he is like handing out cards everywhere he goes. And sometimes it's not always where people would want to hear about it. Sometimes he's heard messages of, war and you shouldn't be glamorizing it. But he, talks back to the people in a very respectful way and says, I'm honoring the true heroes. And people listen and they support that. And that he's been able to experience that, and his school, St. Timothy's School Raleigh, has been so supportive and really teaching these lessons